Debate, Uncut and After Show. I'm your host Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, then be sure to subscribe. Hit the bell notification icon and join button if you'd like to become a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member and keep up to date with the Flat Earth debate. If you would like to support the channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they premiere, and a Ko-Fi, Patreon, Crypto and thanks button in the info box below the video. Speaking of Patrons, I'm going to do a quick shout out to all of you who do support me on Patreon. So a massive shout of thanks and appreciation to Smith Tools and Purchase, Level Plain Poem, Amish, Vitaly Z, Colton James, BG, Survive the Spin, FE Patriot, On the Level, Thomas van der Zander, Gary Hughes, Measured Flat, Chris Wouters, Sea Level Cultist, Mitch Kennedy, Rod, the name's Burley, Twad Wazzle, Jason Hornsby, Christoph Fournier, Flat Earth Travolta, JMels24, Unimento, M, Iron26, Endless, Golden McKiernan, Retro Bill, Michael Kahn, John Kays, Patrick Gunnels, Banter, Mel B. Styles, Hairy Blade, Mobile Max 777, Rob W, Del West Watson, Unbelievable Productions, Bluebridge Ranger, Abraham Mohammed, Skeptic 936, Texas Mike, Chow Yun Cat, David Wayne Foster, and Dank. So another massive thank you to all of you for supporting me on Patreon. Now I will hand over to the Flat Earth Debate 24/7, I think we're going to be in today, and G Plus panels, so you can enjoy their dulcet tones while I set up for today's live show.
Okay,
have you?
if we zoom,
I'm asking you. I'm asking you. No, have you ever zoomed out? Have you ever zoomed out on Google? Okay. What happens when you get all the way out?
Yeah, it turns into a cartoon. That's what happens.
Okay,
so we can. Useless. It turns into a useless model.
It's still.
It's not useful. It's not useful. No, I can't use it. You need to flatten it in order for me to use it.
Yeah, we don't flatten it. We just zoom in on the globe with Google. That's
hey, you show me how to use a round map. Show me how to use a round map. I've never seen one before.
Google Earth.
Google Earth? That's not a map.
No, I'm saying, you just said Google Maps, I mean, not Google Earth, Google Maps.
Google Earth isn't a map.
He just said it was a map. He said it was a map. I asked him,
a map is something used to navigate, yeah? No one uses Google Earth to navigate.
No, not Google Earth, Google Maps.
Google Maps is flat.
No, it's not.
Oh my.
Zoom out. Zoom out. And when you go far enough out, you see it's not flat anymore.
Are you serious? No. We're not going to do. We're not going to be this dumb. Hold up, man. I'm not gonna. I don't mean to offend you. But what you're doing, listen. No. Hey, man.
Maps.google.com.
Hey,
dude. All ancient maps and all maps used for navigation, you can find them all in the library. They're not globes. They're all like flat for navigation. Like you look at maps for road navigation before GPS was invented. They're all flat for like roads and stuff. You don't use a globe to navigate. That's just how it is.
I used to run around LA with the Thomas Guide, man. I knew it like the back of my hand.
Yeah,
hey, Rocky.
Nobody navigates with a global map. They use local maps.
Yeah, they're flat.
Yeah, for all
hey, Rocky,
purposes.
Didn't you?
But listen. I'm gonna answer that one.
We didn't listen to long enough, bro.
Oh, okay. Then I can just leave. If he said something, and
talking nonsense, but can you answer one question? Didn't you hold on, bro? Can you hold on for a second? Didn't you say earlier
who's talking?
that this Freeman?
Oh, new guy. Okay.
Yeah.
You shouldn't talk now because you've been here just 5 minutes and now
I've been listening.
I'm not talking to you. I want to answer the question. Yes, because I want to answer the question he said. He said particularly when you navigate, you use a flat map. That's what he said. And as you all know, I'm a navigator.
No, you're not. You are not a navigator. Like, man, hey, you're not doing that.
What do you mean?
Not doing that.
If you're a navigator, then you can't navigate using a globe Earth.
Yes. You want a picture of my captain's ID?
Yeah.
Yes.
Dude, if you operate a ship of any kind, you will use a flat Earth. You will not use a globe Earth. It doesn't work for navigation.
I'll send it to you. I can send it to you. You want it or not?
Yeah, put it in.
Post it in the chat, you know.
And whatever you're navigating, let me know so I don't get on that motherfucker. Hell no.
Do you navigate?
No, I'm not a navigator.
Okay, so then don't butt in on this conversation because you don't know what you're talking about.
Well, you don't know what you're talking about with the globe, but you seem to have a lot of opinions on it.
Yeah, Rocky, didn't you say earlier that the Earth is measured locally flat?
Yeah.
So how many flat sections make up a sphere?
How many? Oh, how big is the sphere? How big is it?
No, well, can you have flat sections on a sphere? That's a better question.
Yeah, locally, yeah.
No,
it will appear.
You can't. No, you can't. That's not a sphere. You know that, right?
Can I answer this without you cutting me off?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. The Earth is not a perfect square, right?
Is it a sphere?
Yes, but it's not perfect. It's not.
So do
It's not.
spheres have?
It's not smooth as I don't know. It's not smooth like a glass ball.
But you said earlier, Earth measures flat, right? Locally.
Yeah.
Well, welcome to flat Earth.
No, the Earth is really big.
Okay.
That is not a contradiction.
Yes, it is. There's no flat sections in a sphere.
No, that's where you're confused.
You're a polyhedron or something, Earther. I guess you're not a glober then.
You have no concept of scale. You know what scale? You know how big the Earth actually is? It's really big. It's really big.
When did that get measured?
Okay, that's like a red herring or something. That's not what I'm talking about.
When did that get measured?
The Earth is not really big.
Well, just ask something. So we've established.
Yeah, go ahead, Nate.
I'm late in the conversation, but it seems like you've established.
Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna leave. I'm not gonna be here with Nathan. Sorry. No way. Either Nathan leaves or I leaves.
I'm running a show. I don't give a shit what you do. You're a nobody. Nobody cares what you do either. You can bugger off like a complete coward while I start talking and you start talking through me immediately. Is it because I won't tolerate you immediately talking through me before I've even taken the end of this breath? This wanker's talking through me. Is that why you want to run away? Like a total coward, you're talking before I've even started talking. I've said, nobody gives a shit what you do, but you are content to immediately start talking through me and using your mute button on me. What a shock. Has he run away already? Or is he actually listening to me? Run away like a coward already? Shocking.
You're talking to Rocky.
Is he run away?
Yeah.
He threatened to run away.
Yeah, Rocky left. Yeah.
What? Because he couldn't get to talk through me immediately?
Basically.
Right. Well, what we can conclude from that little tete-a-tete was that he knows Earth is measured flat, right? He conceded Earth's measured flat and then threw out some baseless assertion that you don't understand scale and it's really big. My question to him, where's that been measured? Oh, gotta go, gotta run, not talking to you. No, it hasn't been. We've measured it flat. But we established that much before he ran away, that he measured Earth flat, correct?
That's correct. Yep.
I think he's been here about 5 hours. And then he left as soon as you came in, Nathan.
Oh.
I think he's scared of you.
Yeah, he should be.
Run, Forrest. He's just doing that all day. Like he came in, he ran away.
But what he was saying, what Rocky was saying, he's been saying the same thing for the past 3 days, and I got really frustrated with him because he keeps bringing stuff up, like saying stuff about this and that. But if any of you scroll up the live stream voice text, there's nothing that he's posted. You'll see stuff that Bill G's posted and other people who aren't globe earthers, but Rocky didn't post nothing.
Is he saying that he's a navigator or captain of a ship or something?
I don't know. I don't know what his goal is because it's like he refuses to post evidence, but then he'll just talk like he knows things.
How do I make, it says live stream, and you've got above it live stream voice text, and below it says the arena.
Yeah.
How do I make it so it's a list instead of a horizontal line where I can't read anybody's name? How do I make it so it's actually a list like it?
I don't know how you do that in Discord. Don't
worry.
You might have to be a staff member to do that. I don't know.
It normally appears like a list on the left-hand side with all the people in the room, but it just says +6, and it's like a horizontal line of circles next to each other horizontally.
Oh, so you just got like all the pictures you call.
What symbol next to it?
Yeah.
Is there any type of symbol next to the text?
Yeah, I've tried that. I've clicked all around it.
If you right click live stream, it'll say hide names, and if that's ticked, that's where you get just the little circles of people's avatars. If that's what you mean.
Yeah, it's unchecked anyway. It just doesn't list it.
Right.
Oh well, no, not to worry.
That's
I'll
weird.
Figure it out.
Yeah, that's
strange. Oh, there we go. I figured it. Got it.
Ah, there you go.
Right.
Sorted.
Fluffy B. Yeah,
Sorted.
Thank you. Brilliant. Thank you so much. That was the trick. It just took a while to kick in.
Yeah, no problem, mate.
I checked it and then unchecked it, and then it worked.
Your typical turn off, turn on again fix.
It was already unchecked. But I checked it and unchecked it, and now I've got you. I can see you all.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Brilliant.
That's strange. I've never had that issue. But, at least it's fixed.
Discord does all sorts of weird things for me.
Yeah. Does with me. Like, for some reason on my PC, I don't know what it is, but sometimes Discord will, like, glitch out and, like, other areas of my screen will show up in front of it randomly. I'm like, what the hell is going on?
Yeah, I get that too.
And then it fixes itself.
No, I get that. I get that too. I think that's a Windows thing. Yeah, I think it's a Windows thing. Sometimes you just
I'm on Windows 10.
And a different page will suddenly appear in front of it.
Yeah, I
know exactly.
It's really odd. I'm glad it's not an isolated issue, at least.
Yeah, we're in here today. Surprise visit.
Yeah.
But this says it's Lite train with Quantum Eraser. Where's Quantum Eraser?
He was in here.
He was in here.
I think very early in the morning for us, because we're from the UK, so, yeah.
What did you say, Neil? Sorry?
He did a good job with his sound yesterday.
Yeah. Well, whenever I want to do it, he's not interested. But when he's got a problem, suddenly he's like, "Can you come help me?" I'm like, I wanted to sort his sound out. He just wasn't interested. But because I was sorting out his dropping frames, he tolerated me just telling him what to do and what to press, and he pressed it when I told him to. So it's like, yeah, put this compressor on. Yeah, change the ratio. Yeah, lower the limiter, etc., etc. And he just did it all. I'm like, I'm going to take advantage of this and make it sound better. Because he's like, Nathan set it up in the first place. I'm like, yeah, I did, with you pushing back the whole friggin' time. No, I don't know if I want to do that. And things of that nature, right? But when it comes to, Nathan solved my problem that he basically caused, I'm like, no, I didn't. Complete bullshit.
I'm surprised he didn't ask Aesthetic Warrior to fix it.
Who's that? Zetetic Warrior? Did you say?
Yeah, Mr. Upward Rising Earther.
Is he a techie, is he?
No, I'm just throwing it out there because he's so in love already with a Umi.
What? Umi? Is he an Upward Rising Earther?
Absolutely.
You really... Oh, dear. Zetetic Warrior is an Umi? Oh.
Yeah, but I'm hoping we can educate him. I like the guy too, but a little trepidation. See where he's at. He's an Upward Rising Earther, and Paula put a question to him because he claimed that there's too many problems with stationary Earths.
There's always
and
something.
Paula said, "Well,
you meet the beautiful girl.
Paula asked him.
She's got the right upbringing. She's got the right family. She's not crazy wild, and then you find out she's secretly a crack addict."
Well, Paula said, "What problems does Upward Rising Earth solve?" And he would not answer it.
But man, everyone's got their vices. Let's not try and hold it against him.
No. I think when we lay it out for him, I think he'll understand it.
Optimistic.
Listen, I was optimistic about you, and I was right.
About who?
The little cheeky bastard over there.
Wait, since your goat?
Yeah.
Did you require optimism? I don't really follow Neil. I'm not even going to ask. Yes, I'm sure you did.
You know how me and Brian are.
No.
We doubt everybody.
Oh, right. You're paranoid. Yeah,
not paranoid. No, not paranoid. We're just aware.
Yeah, that's what someone who's paranoid would say.
We'll see what happens.
Territory. A lot of conspiratards are also paranoid, Neil. Don't worry about it. We all know what we are.
Oh, hold on, Nathan. You guys come to the conclusion now, after all of this time, what Jiren, Witsit, and Geist are all about. But me and Brian were saying this for years. Separate, move away. Who gives a crap about them? Well, they got knives sticking out of your back. You're still befriending them, but trying to set them straight when they didn't want to be set straight because the whole time they were ballers. We're going to find out a lot of stuff as the days go on.
Maybe. I just saw that there could be a potential disaster for a community that admittedly shunned me. But that disaster has now befallen that community, and all they've done is separate themselves from those people that I was trying to prevent that from happening with, right? So in a way, it's a net positive, but the only reason I was approaching them with knives in my back, as you put it, was so that what occurred wouldn't have occurred if I'd have been taken heed of. Well, instead I was shunned, and now they've got their own... I'm not going to turn around and say I told you so, but literally, had they have listened and learned what the scientific method was, that this could have all been avoided, couldn't it?
Absolutely, and it turns out that you look better because you did try many a times. So you look good.
Yeah, that's not what it's about. I'm sure I made this example when I was talking about me doing a repping job for a guy with a really expensive stereo system. And he had a problem. I went out to sort it out. Turned out he was with the speakers. So I called the speaker manufacturer and sorted out whatever issues, ordered his new tweeters or whatever it was he needed ordering, a couple of bass drivers. And a couple of days later, the rep's coming out and moaning at me, or I had him on the phone, I forget, it's many years ago, it's probably 25 years ago. In any event, I remember what he said to me. It's like, you come out smelling the roses. I'm like, what do you mean coming out? I'm not trying to smell the roses. I'm just trying to make the guy, happy as a customer. He spent tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of pounds. Why wouldn't I want to make him happy? Wouldn't you expect to be made happy if you'd spend that kind of money? But all the guy, the rep from B&W, was the company, speaker manufacturer. All he was concerned with was how I looked as a rep and how that contrasted and made him look bad. Right? That was his primary concern, how he looked. It's like, what about the customer? Well, our customers are the audience, Neil. So my concern was that the audience were made to, flat earth audience, of course, were made to look like complete idiots by what the people, Dave, Jaron, Witsit, were saying. Or ignoring when it comes to science, decrying when it came to science in the case of Jaron. Dave just was ignorant, right? Standoffish when I tried to teach him this stuff. But either way, the outcome's the same. Everybody in the audience, the customer, gets to look stupid. That's the worst scenario. Well, I'm sure Dave is worried about how this looks on him. And that, right, Nathan's come out smelling the roses like the B&W rep back in the day. And it's like, no, that's not what this is about. It's not about me. It's not about you. It's about the person with the coin keeping us in a job. You're blind, right? Without that audience, I'm not here. I'm done, aren't I? My respect goes to them first and foremost every single time. Before you, Neil, right? I'd like to hear that.
Yeah, but that's who I'm talking about. That's what I mean when I say you look good, because now your audience sees that you were genuine. You were just trying to teach them and, put them in the right path, because they are going to make us look like fools. So, yes, I agree with you 100%. But you got double speak is like Witsit turning around saying that if he didn't go, somebody else would have went. And God forbid somebody else goes, because they're going to come back and say, oh my God, it's a globe. Oh, well, isn't that what happened with Jiren?
You mute, please, Vaxi.
Oh, my bad, guys.
I wasn't really paying attention to what you were saying, Neil. Sorry.
In other words, he said, if it wasn't him going, somebody else would have went. And if it wasn't him and Jiren, and some Joe Schmo goes and comes back, and, because what they see with a 24-hour sun, they'll come back and say, oh, God, it's a globe. Yeah, well, isn't that what Jiren did? So I don't know where this kid's coming from.
Well, gaslighting, that's all it is.
I don't think he thinks when he talks. He just talks.
The Globestars don't have any other kind of lighting, do they?
One more time, Barrington. Is it Barrington? Barrington. Go ahead.
No, I said, the Globetards have no other kind of lighting, do they?
I still don't
Conspiracy lighting, according to Johnny Harris.
Conspiracy lighting.
The only kind of lighting they have is that big gas bag in the sky. So the only kind of lighting they have is gas lighting.
Oh, you're tallying off what I said. I should pay attention to my own words more. Yes, indeed. Yeah, now that all makes sense and it's funny. It's the same. It's a shame I'm so slow.
Well, brace yourself, because he's going on Candace Owens next. We got a lot of damage control to do.
Yeah, I don't care. In the same way, Neil, right, it becomes equivalent to caring about the people peddling ghosts. You see what I mean?
Oh, God, not the ghost again. Please, not the ghost.
Well, what is he to us now? Right? Everyone's bracing against him. That will inevitably get used against us by stereotype as well. The fact that we're bracing against him, it's already being spun into, oh, look how culty they all are. And I'm kind of sitting back and going, well, yeah. I mean, what's to argue with? Seriously, though. So, what do you want? Damage control for the flat earth believers? I can only concern myself with my audience, Neil. As selfish as that might seem to the rest of the flat earth community, I don't care. I've got a wife and children. So
yeah, but we want growth, don't we?
Say again.
We want growth, don't we? We want this channel to explode, don't we? I mean, what are we doing this for? 30,000, that's it? We want millions on this channel. We want millions being educated.
Yeah, and as a YouTuber, it'd be nice to not constantly be going into debt. You know, I should say that. I haven't done that. I meant to publish a Patreon video because I've bought a couple of items, even though it's like small things, 50 quid on this and whatever, 50 quid on that. They're specifically for the show, so I did actually sit with my daughter, who sparked the inspiration to buy a couple of items. So I made a little Patreon update, because that guy was moaning, saying, I hide your stuff behind a paywall. So I ended up looking at Patreon and going, what do I actually do on here? And it's all, I need a new bulb for my projector. It's gone bang. I need to raise 150 quid to replace it. Or my amplifier's gone bang. I need to replace it with 500 quid or spend 300 quid repairing this one. You know what I mean? It's all that kind of crap. Well, in this instance, I haven't actually had to eBeg at all to buy a couple of items. Somebody gave me money on PayPal. So I'm like, okay, well, it'd be nice to solve a couple of issues that are show related. One of which was I keep getting a crackling on my mic. And I know exactly what it is. It's my audio interface isn't well shielded. So to try and solve that, I bring it into the middle of the room and I end up stepping on it. And then it's like, I just want one that doesn't react with other stuff on the rack. Bloody hell, it's an audio interface. Surely you'd expect it to be on a rack with other stuff. But no, if you put it near other stuff, you can hear when I talk. And it still occasionally does it, even if I move it out. But anyway, I decided to sort of do a side grade and change it to a different brand. I actually looked at changing it to a slightly older version that I thought might be better, and then you read a few reviews and all of those fail and go bang, and you're like, okay, I'll just pick a different brand then. So I've gone from Audient to SSL, and I just found one on eBay cheap, and I've ordered that along with a mic to go with the old one. So my daughter started making a couple of YouTube videos. So I picked her up a second-hand mic from a pawnbroker, coincidentally the one I used to work for. So I've got that second-hand mic, and that's on its way so that she can actually use my old box that's coming out, and I can replace it with one for a professional show that actually earns me a living, with a box that doesn't cause distortion randomly when the Wi-Fi sends a signal or something, you know what I mean? So there's that, and I bought a bit of acoustic treatment, sort of just after Christmas, so I've done that, and that's gone into the Patreon video. But I haven't actually uploaded it. I should really do that. Might do that now. In fact, I will do that now, because I'll forget otherwise.
Outstanding.
I'm sure I uploaded it. I just didn't put it in Patreon. I put it in as an unlisted video, but I didn't actually share it on Patreon. Anyway.
So you're admitting to withholding information from us, Neil?
If you'd have said my name, that would have been a lot funnier.
I'm on his mind. What can you do?
Taking it personally that he said he trusted in you. Like, why would he need you to be trusting in him, Neil? All right, well, I'll give up on Patreon for now because it's obviously killed the conversation, so...
Where are we today, anyway?
24/7. I went
Vlad in Master B yesterday had copied a link to a YouTube video that somebody suggested from Discord, I think. Do you want me to vet it? Make sure there's nothing vulgar in it the next 10 minutes or something? Just skip through it.
You obviously read the comments from yesterday's show.
Yeah, I ended up apologising to one of the Christians in it.
It's not your fault, right? We do regular shows. There's going to be a time when we end up dealing with somebody that's utterly vulgar, or P3 people that are utterly vulgar. Gay man, a camp man, and a fat man, it would seem. I don't know if that's actually the case. It's just how they came across.
So why are we doing a video today? Why don't we just, if we're in Discord 24/7, let's just bring ballers to the table, if they're there.
They've just surfaced already. One ran away the moment he heard my voice. Oh, there we go. Create. Perfect.
Well, to be honest, I usually just see what I wanted from the video. I just see enough of the content as a show appropriate. I don't usually watch the whole video, but I guess I'm going to have to from now on.
You don't have to do anything. You're under no obligation to do anything at all, let alone apologise to my audience. Don't worry about it. It's not your fault. I should be vetting it, right? And the fact that I'm sure you were in the comments. I'm sure it was you that was like, "Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, I picked that video." Well, thanks, but you don't have to do that either, right? Thanks for providing them to me. But it's ultimately my fault if I'm too lazy to vet them. It's actually a lack of time on my part, but.
Well, it was my suggestion, so it's my responsibility. But I think they're a great laugh, and getting your name out there in the comment section as well. My favourite is when people like Mr. Anderson and Cyberwaffle will tell their audience that they're going to come and debate you, and then they never show up. They just end up making videos from their side. That's my favourite bit.
Yeah, because they say it, and then having listened to the section about them only, they're like, I could deal with this guy. He seems quite amiable. He's agreeing with me in some spots. But then they might think, all right, I better actually check what he's like in debate. And then go, maybe not.
No, they want to debate on their channel with a moderator of their choosing.
Also, the standard of 24/7. Can you remember when Mr. Anderson turned up there, and within minutes of the video, he was being sent to get citations to back his claims, which he said it took him hours to do. And then when he came back, it was pointed out to the flat Earth that was required in his own diagrams that he provided. But the standards yesterday we listened to those guys in that podcast, they have no idea what they're walking into, and neither did Mr. Anderson. So fair play for 24/7 for keeping the standards high.
Why do they always bypass the flat Earth? They could be showing you a diagram with a flat baseline, but they ignore that.
Because it's at the center of the sphere. Good question. So as Mr. Anderson said, oh yeah, you're not there. You're not at the equatorial plane. And that was how we cognitively squared that circle.
So was anybody ever there?
No, but we still use it to get the angles. That's your reference point. That doesn't mean that you reference it physically.
I mean, we're measuring. It doesn't mean we're measuring it, though. It's the ground that we're measuring. It doesn't mean it's the ground, though. It's flat, but it doesn't mean it's the flat ground we're measuring, though. I mean, it's in the centre of a ball on an equatorial plane, but it doesn't mean that we're measuring a flat plane at the centre of the ball. We're not really there when we measure the ground flat. Yes. They can't quite friggin' believe it, can they? Because at some level, if they're reasonably educated in this subject, that is to say they've looked into it to some degree, they've whistled past the graveyard of measuring Earth flat, comprehended that they'll measure Earth flat, moved on with the affirmation that that means it's a ball, and when we stop them in their tracks and go, so you know you measure Earth flat, they go, oh yeah, perfectly reasonable to measure Earth flat locally. A ball's never going to be flat though, is it? Oh, you just don't understand scale. No, I understand spheres. And now you're measuring Earth. So you measure Earth flat, but then you just decide that it's a really big ball, so that's all good. But the only measurements we've got are of a flat Earth. All of them. Ever.
Well, that guy sounded like Jaron.
That's what I was trying to say yesterday, Nathan, with Cyber Waffle, when he invoked that we use Earth or treat Earth as locally flat. That's disco ball Earth. And obviously, when I put that term to ballers, they laugh because they deep down know how untenable their position is. But there's so many ways to debunk disco ball Earth with the GP of the star, with the black swan, with the horizon slope dope. It's just a car crash of an argument.
Well, there are no flat surfaces on a sphere, so I don't know what they're talking about.
To go with the upward rising Earthers over the black swan for like 2 or 3 hours. It's weird. They really are trying to bring us back in time. This whole thing seems to be that's what we're going for. Is to ignore that everything in the last year or two has happened.
I'm being asked to prove that I'm stationary. Are you kidding me?
Is that Zetetic Warriors?
You don't want to fight, but damn.
All right, one at a time. First, I heard sensual. I'll play Adam Nathan's role.
I'm good.
Where's Synthetic Warrior come from? Is he new to the scene? Is he a Delite?
No, he's been here forever.
I've seen him in Dell's chats. That's where I know him from.
There you go.
I could read a few comments.
Go for it.
Okay, let me pull it up here. Let's go with the first one, where he says, oh, I see Neil sets the agenda here. Obviously, he has no clue. Neil sets nothing. He wants me to come on his show to discuss it. Right? That's number one. Let's get the good one he said. Lost it. Sorry, guys. It's not allowing me to. The bottom line is he won't discuss it unless you go to his channel. So, and I didn't think it was good to bring it up on QE show. Well, I didn't want to bring it up on QE show because, we're talking about him, giving it to Witsit and really laying it out for him and making him look stupid. So great. That was good. And hopefully when he comes back again, we can bring up the conversation and see where he stands on that. And like everybody else, you have to support your claim. And then you have to demonstrate, right? Claim support, now demonstrate. I'd love to see the demonstration of Earth rising up.
Okay.
It's usually done with bottles and water, not with the Earth.
Is this vetted mush? Not mush. Sensual goat.
Sensual.
He says you say Amir's suggesting this, right?
Yes, that's what Marty Mush posted yesterday. Is he Marty Mush in Discord?
No.
Yes, sir, I'm here. I can't remember what I posted, bro, but it was from somebody.
It's not. It's Amir posting it, and
all right, fair enough.
Sensual Goat suggesting it.
And Nathan, just while my mic is open, I think Neil's onto something here, but we don't have to talk about that stuff from yesterday on today's show. But Neil, I just want to say I think you're onto something. I don't know how I missed it yesterday, but just like you said, bro, we're having an influx of upward rising earthers, and something is coming up, man. But maybe not a good conversation for today's show.
I don't mind. I anticipate that would be the case. So what's wrong with that? Which Earth have they got rising upwards? A flat Earth pizza pie, aim up, presumably, right? They're coming for the same reasons other flat Earthers are coming. Why is that a problem?
Which is what?
Are you not suggesting it's a problem, or are you?
Which is what? What reason are they coming for?
Because they're in need of cope, right? They think that their worldview's been dismantled.
Oh, I don't know. Well, we're about to find out. I don't know if you want to do that on today's show or not, but
I mean,
there's quite a few of them.
Again, we don't have to push it that mush, right?
Yep, they're in the chat.
The Umis will make themselves aware if they need to, right? So it turns out Satetic Warrior is an Umi. Okay. Right? We don't have to thrash that out of him, do we?
No, but if they come here, then we deal with it. That's always been the way it is.
No.
Come here with
No. Hold on. No. That's not my attitude. Right? Pay attention. What do? We're having a fresh start. There's been a purge. So what do we do to counteract that moving forward? Well, we start afresh. We start teaching people what the scientific method is. Okay? So that they can discern whether or not there's a cause and effect relationship to validate or invalidate. Now, if you're an Umi and you learn what science is, in the truest sense of the word, then you can instantly recognize the issues associated with the assertion that they're on an upward rising Earth. What phenomena are we going to be studying? All stuff going down. Never mind the clouds! Yeah, we all know where that ends up, don't we? Like, we start with basics and we explain what science actually is in detail so that people understand it and can assess it for themselves. I don't need to chastise Umis. Not at this particular moment in time, Neil. So no, we don't do that like we have always. No, things are changing. No, they're coming back for a reason. They're seeking out affirmation of their bias towards their belief in flat Earth for the same reasons anybody else has come. Now, this is absolutely anticipated, but it doesn't change what I suggest we do moving forward. It's actually QE's original suggestion. I just completely agree.
I just got to correct you real quick. It's not things moving down. They have things moving up now.
Yeah, Earth. Yeah, I know what Umis are, Neil. It's all right. Thanks. I'm good.
No, not just Earth. They don't talk about the downward vector. Somebody said something about a ham
it's
sandwich.
It's the flat Earth version of the equivalence principle. That's all it is, right? I know what it is. It's good. I'm okay. My point is not to discuss what Umis are or their claim or take it apart. I want them to be able to do that for themselves. And if they can't, I don't want to waste my breath chastising them. They just become part of the pot of anti-flat earthers and flat earth believers that stand in opposition to us when we give them the ability to discern this stuff for themselves.
Okay, so we're going to start from square one, scientific method. Yes. I gotcha.
Yeah. Not fight with them with it. I don't want to use it as a sword on them. I want to show them how shiny it is and say, this is how you use it. And when they've got it and they go, hang on a second, observe natural phenomena. You'd hope the cogs would tick. Now, if they quietly relinquish their upward rising Earth nonsense without anybody happening to know about it, then wouldn't that be beneficial? Again, it's back to me respecting the audience. They don't need their noses rubbing in it right at this moment, Neil. Do they?
No, and if you see me in chat, I'm very, very respectful of that. And I say, I'm telling people to lay off because it was going crazy in chat yesterday. I said, now's not the time for this. Let's hope that the Zetetic Warrior continues to come and then he understands.
Exactly.
I'm not looking for a fight. You know me, Nathan. I never want to fight.
No, I don't want to fight with Globers either. Believe whatever the hell you like.
I love a bloodbath. Can't help it.
Alrighty then. So yeah, that's my opinion on Umis and upward rising earthers. One and the same thing.
Oh, my confidence comes from the generals. You know, when you're in the army or navy or air force, wherever, and you're under good generals, you'll run right into it with them. We got good generals.
What are you saying? They should recognise how disciplined we are and efficient we are at dispensing with the stupid old arguments from 2015. Is that what you're saying, Neil?
Yeah. You lead the charge. You, QE, Adam. You know, we got Guy Bryan. We got good generals in front of us, so we don't mind forging ahead. Whatever direction you go, we're right behind you.
Sure. But if it ends up being the case that we just end up getting more and more refined and more isolated, you just end up by equivalent being the team of commandos, the specialist team, the A team, right? That's what you end up being. Well, not everyone can be B.A. Baracas, unfortunately. But if you have got a problem, you don't know who to call, maybe you can hire Flat Earth Debate.
Let's just go forward, see what happens. I like the idea of starting fresh with the scientific method because the world they think pseudoscience is science.
Okay, well, let's start. We'll do it in earnest today for the first time. We're in a different server than we typically are 24/7. It's not politics. It's not Land of Misfit Toys. Hopefully people will give me some suggestions. Like I've put this out there a couple of times. You know, if you know a server that you're frequenting and potentially it's a very anti-flat earth server, you know, if I'm invited along because you know that server. Someone's got their mic wide open.
Yeah, but then if I'm getting good server links or good content from that server, and then you come along and ruin their paradigm, then I'm no longer available to get that content, unfortunately.
What, the globe content? Why would you want that?
No, but let's say there's a server where I get free games on, and there's
I've got you.
You know what borders are like.
Point. Yeah, no, I hadn't thought of it. Obviously, I'm dumb. We don't have to tell the operators that you're a flat earther to achieve me coming along. I don't know how that would be resolved, I'm afraid, but it's a good objection. Nevertheless, I just feel like we need to spread the love a bit further and a bit wider. And I have no idea how to do that in terms of social networking on Discord specifically. But Discord's our weapon of choice. Loggy, there he is. You got your mic wide open while you're typing, mate. Can you pop yourself on mute? Loggy? Loggy.
Done.
Thank you. Can you pop yourself on mute for us? Thanks.
Sorry.
No worries. But can you actually pop yourself on mute? Third time's the charm. Thank you. Right, cool.
Being silent don't help.
What?
I said being silent don't help. A lot of times you ask people to pop themselves on mute and they just stay quiet. They don't understand that there's feedback. How are you?
Good morning, 24/7.
Good afternoon.
All right, it's good to be here in a different server. Hopefully one of the YouTube mods can dig out a link to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, which is where we are today. Not typically. We've made a surprise visit, so if we are associated with friendly servers that we have just popped in by chance before, I will do that periodically with some of the servers that I've already sort of made a connection with. However, I do want to do a bit of call to action in terms of people who are in the audience who are using Discord that may be aware of a platform where we can spread our wings, we can serve our ends in terms of spreading the good word of Flat Earth to a wider audience. Now, I am useless when it comes to Discord. I can just about get by. But as for sort of figuring out how to socially network, I can do this, right? I can go on camera, I can talk to people and I can appeal to them in that way. It was pointed out in the pre-show that if you're a member of some Discord server that's giving you free information on games or on computer programming or how to overclock your computer or whatever it is that server's for, you may not want us there. So therefore that could be a bit of a problem. But nevertheless, I still want to put the feelers out there because, I'm having exampled to me how people on the servers that I'm frequenting now and saying, oh, well, I'll drop in this server. They've been built by people who have done this already. And I can only utilize the tools at my disposal, and that is a YouTube channel and its audience. So, you might know of somewhere we can go that we are better served in terms of spreading the information that we will most definitely be going through today on 24/7. Starting with a bit of housekeeping, which are more relevant than ever. So, we'll hopefully rattle our way through that. If you want to join in from the Discord server, feel free to answer any of the questions. Is there any evidence of a physical geometric sphere edge? That's a horizon, formerly known as Earth curve.
Black Swan. I was going to say that.
Black Swan, that's perfect. Just leave it as a whisper. That's all it needs to be. Absolutely perfect. Any evidence of axial rotation of the Earth-based variety? Going once, going twice. The correct answer is you're going to need a flat Earth for that. Any scientific evidence of gravity?
Should gravity be defined first?
Anybody want to define gravity?
Yeah, that drives me crazy.
What does? Gravity?
Yeah, because in an argument, you're giving them gravity all the time when it's not even the gravity they're talking about. Can we get it established, what gravity they're talking about? And can we have some proof of this gravity before we allow them to assert it everywhere?
So, any scientific evidence of gravity?
Negative.
What about any single viable hypothesis from any of the fields of astronomy, cosmology, or astrophysics? Any scientific evidence in the form of a hypothesis?
No, just phenomenon.
Okay, we're going to drop anchor there. So, over the coming year, we're going to be talking specifically about science and the scientific method. Now, in this arena, we're talking about the nature of the world that we inhabit. Therefore, we're talking specifically about natural science. Why do I say that to start us off? Well, because you can describe science as an all-encompassing description of something. So you can have the science of on the cover of a book, and it can describe things. However, when we're talking about the nature of the world that we live in, we're talking about natural science for obvious reasons. So just so it's distinguished what we're talking about, we are talking about natural science. So what is natural science? Well, it's the elucidation of cause when studying natural phenomena. So where we'll start today is with that. What is a phenomena? Well, a phenomena is something that you observe in nature and you want to know why it occurred. So it's something that you observe that's not synthetic, that is to say, not man-made, in nature, happening. They're not concrete nouns, not tree, because that's not something occurring. Something occurring could be, for example, a leaf falling from the tree. That's a phenomena, an effect that you observe in nature. Now, phenomena in hypothesis construction, which is step 2, we're detailing step 1, has a term. It's called a dependent variable. Naturally observed phenomena. Any questions?
Oh, bit cold today.
Skitsly? Did you have something you wanted to ask?
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, he's just hot micing. I don't know if he was saying yeah, because he had something to ask. You want to take him off server mute, whoever? I think he might have actually wanted to ask something. Shitsly? Go ahead.
Yes.
Okie dokie then. Okay, so when we're talking about phenomena, what do you have to substantiate it actually being a phenomena? Well, you have to actually observe it. That's to say, when we say observe a natural phenomena, that doesn't mean create one in the mind's eye of people that you're talking to, or suggest that something may occur in nature. Shitsley, can you pop yourself on mute for us, please? You're hot micing. Unless you've got something you wanted to ask. Shitsley. You hear us? You're in a public server in a voice chat, Shitsley.
This is a lesson. You'll be in detention if you carry on.
No, they did. Whoever the moderator is, thank you. The unspoken heroes of things like this Discord server was all over it and knew better than I already. I second guessed that moderator. Whoever you are, you're a hero, and yeah, that's my own fault. So yeah, so it's not a phenomena unless it's an observed phenomena. That's to say, you actually have to see this thing occurring in nature to say, I wonder why that happened. Yeah? So that is, in essence, establishment of, in scientific vernacular, a dependent variable. Okay? So observing a natural phenomena occurring in nature and saying, I wonder why that happened, is the first step in the scientific method. Yep. So this gets misrepresented quite often. If you do a quick Google search of what is science, asking a question will often be the misrepresentation. Well, no. It's asking a question about what caused a phenomena you observed in nature. That's the scientific method. It forms part of your hypothesis, which is step 2. But in this instance, I just want to get it absolutely squared away and as clear as possible. If you are observing something to occur, by example earlier, a leaf falling from a tree, you can definitely observe that in nature to occur and ask yourself, why did that happen? So you can establish that as your dependent variable to move forward and formulate a prediction about why that occurred, which is step 2. Now, I know I'm labouring this and relabouring it, but is everybody clear about what a dependent variable, that is to say, an observed natural phenomena when taking the steps of the scientific method, that is to say, natural science? Is anybody unclear about what a dependent variable is?
I'd say about millions of people around the world.
Are unclear? Well, everybody gets... If you went through a standard education, then you will have been taught this in school. And I normally used to say a Western world education, having talked with quite a few people from around the world about their education, specifically on OMI TV. No, this is true. It kind of doesn't matter what religion you are. Don't get me wrong, you can give me some exceptions to that rule, but it does seem to be the case that it doesn't matter where you are in the world, you will be taught of heliocentrism and science at a certain stage of your education. So most people are acutely aware to a degree because they were taught it. So if this rings familiar, it's because you were taught it, right? Independent variables and dependent variables. This case, step 1, observe natural phenomena. The other thing I qualified it with was that it's not synthetic. What do I mean by that? Well, that it's not man-made. Well, if you're asking yourself, why would we not put man-made things through the scientific method? Surely it's just as valid. You already know the cause of something if it's man-made. A man made it. Yeah? But for the fact that the man made it, it wouldn't be happening. So you already know the cause when it comes to man-made phenomena. Because a man made it happen. It's a man-made phenomena. Yeah? So it's only things that are occurring naturally in natural science. And it's only things that you actually observe to occur that can be put through this method as an observed phenomena, otherwise known as dependent variable. Okay, so that's step 1. I've asked twice if anybody's unclear. Going once, going twice. Step 2. Suppose what caused it? That's it. That's step 2. That's essentially all you need to formulate what is step 2. A scientific prediction, which goes by another name, a hypothesis. So at step 2, once you've established your dependent variable, that would be the phenomena you're studying. I've already gone through that. You then suppose what you think will cause that phenomena to occur. A suppositional causal influencer. Your best guess of what you think might, it's suppositional at this stage, might cause the effect. Now that is called an independent variable. It's what you, the researcher, will vary, that is to say manipulate, to see if it causes the effect. It must be real, right? There's no varying concepts in mathematics. Distance, for example, yeah? Location. Location's not a cause, okay? Things of that sort of nature. No, it must be something capable of varying and manipulating by you, the researcher, to induce the effect you're studying. So it must be real, yeah? And it must be your independent variable in the hypothesis, as strange as that may sound. And it must be capable of being varied by you, the researcher. Right, someone's off mute in Discord. Did someone want to add something? Feel free. Juice ST1. Want to add something? Juice? Hello, Juice? Juice. There he is. He's popped himself like on mute. Good. Okay, so just to summarize, alongside the phenomena that you're studying, that is part of the hypothesis. It's called your dependent variable. You've then got what you think's going to cause it, your independent variable. Now, with those two things, you can form a logical suppositional statement, which is if my causal influencer, that's the thing that you're going to vary to see if it can cause the effect, then the effect. So it's an if and then statement. Cause and effect. If my causal influencer, then the phenomena that occurred in nature will be induced. So it's if A, then B. That's a hypothesis, otherwise known as scientific prediction. It predicts the outcome of a presumed cause of a natural phenomena. Sounds complicated, but isn't. It's if I vary this, I give this thing over here a little wiggle, that thing over there that I saw happen in nature will happen. Because I varied this, that happened. That's all a hypothesis is. Now, let's just check everyone's clear first of all. Does everybody understand at this stage what an independent variable supposed cause is? Anybody unclear what it is? Please speak now. Okay, well in that case I'll summarize. So to be an independent variable, you must be real. That's the independent variable must be something that physically exists. It must be your independent variable in the hypothesis. That's to say, the thing you vary much must actually be the thing you're predicting in the written down suppositional scientific prediction. That's actually the thing you will be varying. So it's the independent variable in the hypothesis, and it must be capable of variation and manipulation by you, the researcher. So it must be real, it must be the independent variable in the hypothesis, and it must be capable of variation by you, the researcher. Okay, so there's the summary. Again, with the summary, anybody unclear of what an independent variable is? Okay, so we're still on step 2, because hypothesis has one last element. It's called the zero difference result. What does that mean? It means you vary what you think will cause the effect, and nothing happens. You get zero difference. Your hope is that you vary the independent variable, and the dependent variable happens. Yeah? Now, if it doesn't, that validates, that's to say proves, the zero difference result prediction, which is alongside your prediction of an actual positive result. So where previously it's if A, then B, the zero difference result, otherwise known as the null hypothesis, is, in logical form, if A, not B. I vary A because I think it's going to make that thing I observed in nature happen. I'm varying it. Nothing's happened. Zero difference result. Tick. You confirmed that prediction. You proved that when you varied it, nothing happened. Zero difference. Validated hypothesis. So it's like having two hypotheses alongside each other. One is the mirror of the other. If A, then B, or if A, not B, in logical terms. Okay, so at that stage, is everybody clear what a null hypothesis is? Zero difference result.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Okie dokie. Now, at this point, I'm going to take a break. We're not going to go on to step 3. We're going to still hold fire on why the most important aspect of this method is the construction of hypothesis yet to be validated. It's because this is where the end result, achieved by experiment, has its validity and offers empiricism. Why? Well, because those two described logical formats, if A then B, or if A not B, has an or between the two of them. It can only be one or other. A can't cause B and not cause B at the same time. You vary A, nothing happens. You can't say, I varied A, nothing happened, and it happened. You can't have the effect happening and not happening. So only one can and must be proven when you go to the next stage, which is experiment or hypothesis actualization, to give it a more technical term. So this step, the construction of a scientific prediction, hypothesis, is where you offer logically an empirical outcome to your prediction. It can only make it happen or not make it happen. And one will be proven at the end of the process. It can only yield proof at the end of the process. That's empirical evidence once actualized. So does everybody understand at this stage, hopefully I'm getting a little bit more complicated, why a hypothesis offers a potential empirical outcome if actualized?
Because of a law of non-contradiction, yes.
Yes, because of a law of non-contradiction violation to assert that both A can cause B and not cause B at the same time would be to violate the law of non-contradiction. Correct. Anybody else not following along, I'm more than happy to go back a step or reiterate anything I've just gone through. Feel free to pipe up. Okie dokie. Then we get to the crown jewel of this method. Experiment. The actualization of your prediction of cause for an effect you observed in nature. So what are you going to do? Well, if you haven't figured it out already, I'll tell you in no uncertain terms. You vary what you think will cause the effect. That's it. You give your causal influencer a wiggle to see if it actually causes the effect or not. And whether it causes the effect or not has already been established in your hypothesis. A causes B, or A doesn't cause B. So we just need to see if, when varied, A does or does not cause B. Did you want to ask something, Neil?
So the researcher has to be able to vary and manipulate, right?
Yeah, that's back to step 2. So we're on step 3, actualization. But in step 2, what is an independent variable? Well, an independent variable is first and foremost your supposed cause in the prediction. It's the independent variable written down under the title hypothesis. It must be real, no imaginary things or hypothetical things. And it must be, to tally into that, capable of being varied by you, the researcher, to qualify as an independent variable in the hypothesis, Neil. Okay.
It's still a bit early in the morning for Americans. They'll catch up.
That's okay.
There's a reason why I asked that. Don't worry about it.
Okay, so step 3, just to reiterate and re-summarize, you vary, that's you, the researcher, physically vary that which you hope will cause the effect and see if it causes the effect. Upon that variation of your independent variable, that has a title of experiment. That process of variation of a presumed cause is an experiment. The outcome of the experiment is either the elucidation of cause, that's to say, you induce the effect you studied, or you don't. If you don't, you prove your null hypothesis, and if you do cause the effect you studied by observing it at step 1, by varying a presumed cause, it's no longer a presumed cause. It's a empirically validated by experiment causal influencer. A successful experiment. So, is anybody unclear what varying and manipulating causal influencers, aka an experiment, is, even though I just summarized it in my question?
Yeah, there are people unclear because I'm getting time.
Getting what?
Time is an independent variable.
So is time, let's go through the, perfect. Is time capable of variation and manipulation by you, a researcher? Do you have a DeLorean?
Negative.
Is time real?
Time is a concept.
So not physical then? Conceptual then? That
Correct.
would be no. So therefore, it can't be the independent variable to answer the third question in the hypothesis, can it?
Nope.
Right. So perfect example, Neil. Exactly. So if you're following along, you can ask yourself these questions based on what I've just gone through. Okay. So ends an explanation with 3 steps: observe natural phenomena, formulate hypothesis, actualize hypothesis with experiment. That is the scientific method. Shout out to Vidali. Hopefully I'm saying your name right. The amount of people I've been arguing with that don't know the scientific method is wild. Observation, air pressure on Earth, hypothesis, gravity holds gas down, experiment, air pressure on Earth, circular reasoning. Yeah, exactly. Now, to the uninitiated, Vidali, thank you very much for the super chat. $20 too. Thank you very much. Really, really generous of you. Yeah, if you're in a position to understand it implicitly what the scientific method is, you can take that apart. Now, as time goes over the course of 2025, you will see us writing down some of these things that people claim and formulating it into an actual hypothesis on screen. Well, that would be to say, if QE was here, we will. I won't be. I'm too lazy. I'll do it verbally. But if QE's around, we'll be asking him to get his pink pen out, and we'll be writing down these things as people claim that they're an independent and dependent variable. And you mark my words, our opponents will flip-flop between claiming what their independent variable is and then repackaging it and restating it as their dependent variable. It will all occur, you mark my words. But knowing what the process is from day one means you can follow along with the fun, while our opponents, who definitely don't know what science is, they think that making an observation in Antarctica is an experiment. It barely, before they, actually went down there, comported with step 1. It was an alleged observation of phenomena. Now that they've been down there by antipodal assumption, no, they travelled south. They've observed the sun, when travelling south on a flat plane, to be above their heads for 24 hours. I'll take that as read, then. That's a phenomena. Let's crack on and formulate a hypothesis. Coincidentally, I asked Will Duffy for his hypothesis immediately the moment he got in touch with me via a comment on a video. It's the only communication I've ever had with Will Duffy. Nevertheless, that was my first question. Understanding this process led me to ask Mr. Duffy, what's your hypothesis? Because that tells me everything I need to know. Now, I'm not going to lead Duffy to say dependent variable, 24-hour sun, circling. Okay? Fine. Dependent variable circling sun, you say you, in your hypothesis that you will be formulating for your experiment. What's your independent variable there, Duffy? Is it location? If location, 24-hour sun. Really? So I change my location and I get a 24-hour sun. I just moved 3 inches to the right. I'm in a different location. No 24-hour sun. Yeah, that fails on its arse. Shout out to Vidali. Thank you very much indeed for the super chat. But yeah, you're getting it. You're getting the general gist. In the pre-show, it was talking about upward rising earthers that we don't necessarily want to chastise. We want them to figure this out for themselves based on step 1, observe natural phenomena. What are you observing? Now, for the sake of argument, somebody attempts to use a flat earth equivalence principle, then presumably they'll be dropping something or alluding to something travelling in a downward vector. Well, when they do that, to take them through their own nonsensical assertion that an upward rising earth is the causal influencer, oh, good luck varying that presupposition. You're going to vary and manipulate earth rising up. You're having a laugh. Meanwhile, what are we actually studying? Dependent variable dropping pen? That's synthetic. A man did it. Oh, what about a twig falling from a tree? All right. Leaf falls from tree. Yeah, you can science that. That is to say, figure out what caused a leaf to fall. Yeah, you can definitely science that. On you go. Is your independent variable Earth moving up? All right, let's see you vary that then. Yeah, that'll fail on its arse pretty quickly. Meanwhile, there's clouds. So this isn't a universal principle that needs explaining with the entirety of the surface of the ground moving up. There's clouds. Not everything's going down. But if you understand science, you can get to the nub of their assertion immediately and invalidate it based on natural science, a study of the physical and natural world. So when bullshitters are claiming there's an effect we need to study, what effect are we studying? Are we studying the effect of Earth moving up that we observe in nature? We don't observe Earth moving up in nature. By pure fiat, they assert this nonsense. But for it to be a phenomena, step 1, what makes it a phenomena? First step, make sure you're observing it actually happening. Do we observe Earth moving up as a natural phenomena, ladies and gentlemen?
Absolutely not.
So this is outside the purview of science when studying the physical and natural world. It's a baseless assertion, but what will they then tell you? They might throw a bottle out of a car window or drop a pen. Synthetic. Correct? Hopefully you're all following along.
Correct. Yes, we're following. But what if they turn around and tell you, prove to me that you are stationary? Because that's what they do.
Non-positive claim. Proving not a roast chicken, Neil. Do I need to? Did I say we were? So I need to prove I'm not moving. No, non-positive claims I don't need to prove. That's a stupid thing to ask me to do. Is it because you need to flip the burden? This is a logical problem because it's using a fallacy. It's called the reversal of burden of proof. So because they have a positive claim in the form of a phenomena we cannot observe, we do not observe, they tell you to prove it isn't moving up. Oh, so that you can accept my baseless assertion that it is without proof, prove that we aren't doing the outrageous claim I haven't substantiated. A flipping of the burden of proof. Okay, so that's it. So you will be hearing this a lot over the next 12 months through 2025. This is absolutely back to basics. Why? Well, because if the clown shoes that have gone out and represented flat earthers out in Antarctica knew this, they'd have debunked it based on the fraud of it being called an experiment. Now, when, as a tangent, it was addressed because people were presumably pestering Will Duffy about his fraudulent use of this terminology, experiment. What, when studying phenomena? Oh, we definitely know the method then. We just went through it. Did Duffy elucidate the cause of an effect by varying and manipulating that which he supposed will cause the phenomena he was yet to observe when he was gathering up his cash for his fraud, which it absolutely without question is? No, he wasn't. And when push came to shove, he went, if you don't like the terminology, you can call it an expedition. What if we don't like you being a fraud? No, I'll just call you a fraud for it and show how it's not a scientific endeavour. It's actually fraud. Now, had Jaron, Whitsitt, or any of the other numbskulls that have engaged in this crap actually knew how science worked to prove empirically causes of effects, they might have actually offered this and put it on the table at some stage, rather than talking about how they won't respond to comments, how beautiful the flight is, and how they were wrong. About what? A map they already knew were wrong? To begin with? Pathetic. They should have listened. Dave Weiss, Jaron, they've all had it. Whitsitt from Quantum Eraser. The problem is it interferes with their use of the same magic trick. Whitsitt, Jaron, Dave, they all claim science. Fraudulently, just like Will Duffy, because they're not adhering to this method to offer empirical suggestion when they give you their just so stories and say science alongside it. Like with experiments. But if you know what that is, you can call out the fraudsters and spot the magic trick from bullshitters on your own side, in this case, Flat Earth. Now, my attempts to educate and elucidate this method, like I've done for the last half an hour with this audience, fell on deaf ears and led to people like Jaron calling me a scammer for attempting to educate him in this. What did he do in the end? He went down and validated a fraudulent experiment, seemingly lending credence to some fraud. That's what Jaron did. Now, my attempts to stop that from happening led to me being called a scammer. Let's make no mistakes about it. But all of the lemming idiots that believed Earth was flat, they weren't here listening to this for the last 3, 4, 5, 6 years, were they? So they're all going to bugger off back to the ball and relinquish their flat Earth belief based on fraudulent claim to be experiments that affirm the consequent. They utilise a different fallacy. We've gone through it many times. That's not the point of today. The point of today is to start the people who have made their way back to us on the journey that I had given to me by Quantum Eraser many years ago, and every single panel member had too. That's how we decapitate the globe believers, and have been doing for quite some time, because they use this magic trick non-stop. TFE, the E being experiment, is no exception. You, the audience, know science is empirical. You were taught it in school. So when somebody alludes to the idea that they've got it in the form of an experiment, your brain immediately releases a load of chemicals that says this is going to be proving something, when you're being duped by a fraud. But now you know. Pay attention, because it's only the first time. It took me 10 times of hearing that half an hour description of how science works. 10 times over I had to have it from QE before I got it. 10 times. So if you're first time hearing this and you're like, wow, this is all a bit complicated, I kept along till step 2, don't worry about it. Took me an eternity to get it. Like months of QE going over it and over it and over and over and over and over and over. Eventually I got it. So praise be to Quantum Eraser for taking the time with someone like myself, because the only reason I can do what I did over the last half an hour is because of him. So thank you, Quantum Eraser.
Didn't he accuse you of being a scammer because of the scientific method? But he went down there to prove something?
Yeah. Jaron's a double-speaking clown, contradicting himself all the time. He says he doesn't believe in proof, but apparently there's the cause and effect method being elucidated through experiment to prove he was wrong. No, he's just a double-speaking clown. Meanwhile, we know what science is, and so do you if you're an audience member. 145 of you currently watching. Very warm welcome to you all. Please share the show if you've not done so already. Smash that share button, stick it on your favourite platform. Bebo, MySpace, whatever it is you use. But we're in the politics server today. Also, hopefully one of my mods will stick a link to the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server, which is where we are today. We've dropped in unannounced because they're friendlies. And we might do it with some other servers. We might toddle along to the land of misfit toys. We'll see. As they do know us, and we can just drop in. But also, as I said at the beginning of the show, if you happen to know of a server that you feel it would be beneficial for us to toddle along and tell them how Earth's measured flat, or something along those lines, or how the scientific method works, for instance, then just let us know. But yeah, hopefully one of the mods will drop a link to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord, which is where we are today. Not our usual server. been so patient. There's so many people in here, and they've all just been listening to me talk about the scientific method. Thank you, guys. In
Outstanding.
Yeah, you've been really patient and tolerant with me. Thank you so much for listening.
I figured at least a baller would jump in and try to interject, but well done.
I can't believe I got through it all in half an hour. It's not a simple subject when you're summarising things 2 or 3 times and really labouring each stage. So yeah, I'm very pleased. We'll do it again and again and again and again. You will not hear... This won't be the first time you'll hear it, and it won't be the last.
Especially when you got the Americans waking up so late.
But we could have avoided the whole TFE debacle if people knew what science was. Then you wouldn't be concerning yourself with disproving maps that were disproved in 2016. You'd be concerning yourselves with, well, what measurements are we going to acquire down here?
That's the problem. It's always been the problem.
Is that the real Math Powerland in chat? Hold on a second, Neil. Sorry. We've got Math Powerland in chat. Is that a sock or the actual Math Powerland? Math Powerland's the guy who woke me up to Flat Earth. That is the real Math Powerland. Shout out to you. I don't know. It might be the real Math Powerland.
Is he the real or fake one with the pictures?
Yeah.
Pictures of
Yeah.
Yeah.
Photo or painting, you mean?
Yeah, photo or painting, exactly.
You've come a long way in those 10 years, Nathan.
Well, no, they tortured math mentally for years and years and years over this, until it eventually broke and there was a second wave of people coming in who then also attacked Math Powerland immediately and called him a shill. And he did the same back to them, and so it continued into the third wave as the Feast of Nonsense took a hold. I had to go through this whole timeline with QE the other day, because he'd come in a couple of years after. So he didn't know any of this. So he didn't know the backstory with Jera and Eric DeBay, Math Powerland. And I was filling him in on all of it. It was like a stroll down memory lane.
Yeah, people come in like somebody, Jeranism was supposedly on QEs yesterday. It wasn't Jaren.
Yeah, the Math Powerland video I watched, I couldn't even tell you which one it was, because it came up on autoplay while I was doing other things. So presumably I'd have been watching something about psychopathy, which is what I was studying at the time. And then autoplay, Math Powerland comes on, and it's just, you know, I'm doing whatever I'm doing, maybe stacking the dishwasher, you know, just getting on with life. And I can hear him talking, but I'm not paying very much attention until I hear him talking about Flat Earth. But he's talking about it in a way that I'd just never heard it phrased before. It was the tone of his voice. He wasn't saying it with disdain and ridicule. I'm like, what's this guy talking about? You know what I mean? And then I sort of paid attention for a few more seconds and heard him, you know, make it explicitly clear at that point on whatever video I was watching, Earth's flat. I'm like, oh my God. And suddenly all the journeys I'd done on all the planes as a rep had flashed before my eyes in an instant. And I went and woke my wife up, like shook her in bed. It was like 2 a.m. or something. Like, Paula, it's flat! I woke her up and she's like, whatever.
That's funny. You know, my kids were telling me last night that you can have a horizon on a globe. It was a little frustrating, but I just didn't partake. I was like, look, you're grown now. You're going to make your own way. But what you're telling me is nonsense right now.
You can't have a horizon on the globe. They're right.
I told them, I said, what is the definition of horizon? How are you going to get a horizontal off of a ball? It's an impossibility. Even got a basketball and held it up. Show me how I'm going to get a horizon. He said, well, if you back away from it far enough, because Earth is so big, you will get a horizon.
In other words, Earth's so big, I can define a horizon as everything being parallel, perpendicular to 90 degrees in terms of what it affords you practically. You can describe all the flat Earth elements of a horizon, but then just justify it as Earth being so big that I can have a flat Earth horizon that's not capable of being used or acquired from a sphere ever. Yeah, they need a flat Earth for their horizon, and they do utilize horizons, Neil. That's correct.
It's weird because first he was talking about backing away, and then he was talking about going really close to something spherical, and it'll seem flat. It's very weird.
Yeah, he's just wrapping his head around the whole facts of Earth being measured flat. But I can believe it's a really big ball so long as I take the first steps of measuring Earth flat. And then it's just because it's only a really big ball that we can measure Earth flat.
Surely the slope intercept formula would come in there, because then he's not arguing with you, he's arguing with the measurements of Earth. But I did look for it on QE's website. I can find it on Google, but not on QE's website, unfortunately.
Talking about the slope-a-dope, right?
Yeah, slope intercept formula. I don't think it is the real Math Powerland. Oh well. Thank you, Michael Khan, for screenshotting the person's details. Thank you so much.
Yeah, Esoteric Warrior fell for it yesterday and was talking to Jiren in chat. It wasn't Jiren. Hello?
That's fair enough. I do that all the time. I mistake people for who they say. You don't assume that somebody's got such low self-esteem that they want to take on the namesake of somebody else. But that, to me, is so sad. But I always try and think the best of people. And why would you want to do that? But then again, I use my own name here, don't I? So do you.
No, you hold off a little bit. You see what they say, and the things that he was saying. I mean, it's just silly. You guys are just crybabies. Okay. Well, Jiren would say something like that, but as he's in chat, that it's the same Jiren.
Cool. So yeah, that was it. I've kind of run out of steam in terms of talking about science now, and we've got at least 15 minutes left on this live show. So hopefully we'll have a little bit of a chat with the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server, which is hopefully being shared by one of my moderators in the live stream chat on YouTube, so you can all join as well. It wasn't Jerem, but they are always watching, says Pablo. How do you mean they're always watching?
He's right. They're always watching because on Globebusters, maybe about a month ago, they were listening to our show, one of Ballbusters, and they were mocking how we all fight with each other. So they're watching. Hello, guys. You know what I mean, Nathan? The echo chamber, but always fighting.
No. You're right.
What? Go on, Adam. I don't know what you're talking about. Thank you for the super chat, Pablo.
It's like they're always on top of us. They're always checking on us because there's only one place to come, for the best. So hi.
Yeah, did you see how quickly after TFE they latched onto Earth's measured flat? Did you see that? I was quite proud on the one hand, but it quickly faded away when you're like, oh, right, it's just a surface regurgitation because it's a nice punchline.
Well, we're going to see if Whitsitt comes with the good arguments, like he says. But remember, Whitsitt's good arguments is he thinks it's essential to prove that Earth is not spinning, rather than to lay it down that Earth is measured flat. His words.
Okay, I don't care. Right, although we will endeavour to address some of the nonsense that permeates its way down to us. Okay, fine. I like to take my lead in terms of my attitude towards this stuff from a computer guy. So there's a channel I've mentioned him previously a few times called Frame Chasers. This guy learned how to overclock computers and then started to charge for a overclocking service, and that's what he's built up doing. And he builds some fairly well-known competitive gamers their computers, so they get a competitive edge because he's making this machine as fast as it can possibly be. Right, that's his bag. Now, while he's doing this, he's looking on internet like we do at his subject, equivalent to us looking at flat Earth, like we're talking about Whitsitt. And what does he see? He sees that there's an absolute shed ton of misinformation Yeah? There's the mainstream, this is how you'll do it because we're paying you to do it and we're giving you the equipment to do it with, so do it the way we tell you way, which he found objectionable. And there's the, I haven't got a clue what I'm doing, but I'm still capable and will publish this garbage that's wrong on the internet. Now, between those two things, it's difficult for an individual to make their way through it. There's just too much nonsense. Now, that is for him, Frame Chasers, this computer guy, that's his feast of nonsense equivalent. You're following along with the comparison, right? So what does he do to solve this? Well, he says, I've just got to be concerned with the people around me, the people I have direct influence over, the people who are actually appealing to me to give them this information in a concise way that's useful. Now, in some instances, he's charging for that, but that's not necessarily applicable to his YouTube channel, where he's just telling people what he knows, talking about his experience in what he builds and how he overclocks it, and showing that he's actually done it. This is where it ties in today's show when I'm talking about scientific validity, which overclocking isn't. It's not science, but it's he's actually doing it, not just making it up and making up a result and publishing it without any validity. Here's what I did. Here's me doing it so you can see it functionally happening, and here's the result. You can see the difference between A and B when I compare them, right? Now, it's a very pragmatic way of presenting data in computing terms that isn't being adhered to by anybody else in his community, annoying him greatly, and he can do so little about it. Now, he's probably outgrown me now, but last time I made the example, he was about a similar size to me. He's probably bigger now. Maybe 30, 40, 50,000 subscribers, maybe getting on to 100, I don't know. But at the time, he was smaller than me when I was making this example previously. I'm like, I like that. You will go far. Just concern yourself with the people who are actually interested in you. Because the bigger names that are making the misinformation or following the mainstream or being paid to cuck by the manufacturers, well, they're not for his community. And if his community are going to those people for useless information, that's on them when he's telling them it's misinformation, it's wrong. Now, we're doing that. You got it? Go ahead.
I got it, Nathan, but don't you think that you may have been picked for a higher purpose? Everybody talks about how perspective was hijacked and this was hijacked. How about the word of God was hijacked? The creation story was hijacked. Well, you got all the churches thinking that we're living on a spinning water ball. So perhaps there's a higher purpose. It's great that you're looking out for your community. 100% agree. But there's a greater purpose in this. The creation story. We're not on a spinning water ball. I was reading something to Brian yesterday, and he caught it. How the devil himself tells you that Earth is flat. Because he says, I will exalt my throne above the stars of God. Well, there is no above on a ball.
Okay, but you're juxtaposing a biblical standard with an empirical standard on today's show. Well done, Neil.
Talking about a higher purpose. Let's not get carried away with people. They came up with the scientific method, but we all do. Most flat earthers come to an understanding that we're on a created earth. This is come out of nowhere.
Oh man, you've put me.
This is creator.
Oh, God, you've now put me in a really awkward position. Thank you so much. So, I don't wish to condemn those who have faith or follow the biblical text or take it completely literally, right? And I'm not going to even express my own views on it at this particular point in time. The purpose of today is to give people a method of empiricism that they already knew. They were just taught it at a young age. And since that young age, that method is ignored and the terms and language is hijacked to suggest empiricism. And changing it onto a biblical context just kind of ruins my point today. Sorry, Neil, but it's just a fact. I'll agree with you. Yeah, I often feel blessed,
okay,
and I feel led. If you want to describe that as me taking the hand of Christ and allowing him to lead me where I'm best served, then you can take it that way. If you're a Christian, fine. If you're a Muslim, I won't even make the example, but you know where that's going, Neil. I don't want to offend you as a Christian if I use the same example for a Muslim. I'm not trying to antagonize you, is what I'm saying. But I could do it for anything. I could
Jesus. Say, I said creator, okay, whatever you want. But in the story, any story you get, there is never a ball in outer space, ever.
No, and for my audience that are going to get torn a new one by the guy who just doesn't care about your religion or faith or your understanding, knowledge, your biblical scholarship, it doesn't matter. If you just have a good argument that shows beyond a doubt for sure that Earth is flat, and then you compare it to your Bible text that also affirms that for a fellow Christian in debate, that's a different story. But if you introduce it when I'm trying to describe empiricism, but for the fact that it can and is perfectly acceptable to piggy bank alongside that, but me saying that might get people's heckles up, Neil. So, okay.
You didn't say it, I said it. They can get their heckles up with me. But God chose you for a higher calling, Nathan. Too bad.
And it gets my admiration and thanks quite frequently, as should be the case. Scraping by or otherwise, I do scrape by. And for that, I am eternally grateful, right? Life could be horrendous. And it's not. It's tolerable, financially speaking. Now, you're saying I want you to reach millions, and it's a loftier purpose for reaching the millions that could eventually be led to the word of God. Potentially, you might be right, Neil. And for me, I've got to have slightly less lofty ambitions, which is to say, it'd be nice to just, as is always the case each month, make sure I'm not going into the red. And when I do, slightly concern myself with it and work a bit harder. You know, those sorts of things are what keeps my day-to-day going on the whole.
But isn't it great, though, always hanging on the edge, and then God always comes through in the form of a person sending you $100 or $200?
Yeah,
I'd rather be waiting on the hands of God than be rich and not think about him.
Yeah, that's absolutely happened to me recently over the Christmas period. People sent me money, and I had enough to resolve an issue that's bugged me for 2 years. If you're a patron of mine, by the way, I just published a video about this. I don't know if I discussed it in the pre-show or at the beginning of this live show, but either way, there's little niggly things that I've wanted to sort out that I just couldn't justify spending, say, £100 on a new audio interface. The one I've got reacts to other electronic equipment, and by reacts I mean it goes in the middle of me saying something for no freaking reason. Very annoying. But it's just not, I can't justify exchanging it for something else when I'm always poor. Well, I was put in a position where I just had enough money to replace it, and I could justify it because my eldest daughter has gone, I really want to do a podcast. So I've gone, okay, fine. I'll monitor everything you do, and you can publish it on a sub-channel of mine on the kids section of YouTube. In other words, you're not getting your own channel, right? I think I'm pretty certain the age limit's still 13, so she can't and won't be until she's that age. But in the meantime, I'm like, yeah, I'll happily monitor what you're doing and publish stuff that seems appropriate. So when she boshed out her first crappy video with terrible audio, I'm like, okay, so there is actually now a justifiable reason to have a redundant audio interface. In other words, I'll give it to her and then buy a new one. And I have actually got enough surplus money to do that. And I feel blessed that I can actually do that. You know, so I have. I'm like, I'm going to do it. I did it today on eBay. You know, you press the buy it now button, you're like, I can't believe I'm doing this. I'm buying something cheap. Yay. It's completely for the show. And it will literally make no difference other than it will hopefully, fingers crossed, reduce or mitigate that distortion. Anyway, this is definitely not Flat Earth. I'm still live. I'm getting carried away with things I like. 150 people listening to me babbling on about audio interfaces. But if you are interested in such things, me and Eleanor, Eleanor and I, as the case should be, are discussing that very fact, i.e. me buying a cheap second-hand microphone and passing on what will become a redundant audio interface, hopefully in the next couple of days when my eBay purchase arrives. And indeed, her second-hand microphone arrives from the pawnbroker I purchased it from. So they're all getting posted to me, and that means there's going to be a few subtle changes to the show in technical terms. No one will notice. Hopefully no one will notice, unless it goes wrong, which hopefully it won't. So yeah, that's that. Check it out on Patreon if you are one of my members. It was made acutely aware to me that I do nothing with Patreon. I mean, I don't profess to give you anything on Patreon. It's made explicitly clear when you join that you get nothing. But I do actually post technical stuff on there, like when amps blow up and bulbs in projectors go and things of that sort of nature. So me buying a bit of acoustic treatment or buying a new preamp, in this case, or a new mic, is worthy of going on Patreon, as that's what I typically use it for. So although I've bored you all now talking about it anyway, it's on Patreon if you did want to check it out if you are one of my patrons. Now, don't be so cheeky. How dare thee?
He's a funny guy.
What's that you say? Which preamp did you get? Oh, it's an SSL2 Plus. Oh, thank you for asking. I'm glad that I got to actually say what I purchased. It's a preamp from about 4 years ago. It's not the Mark II that's modern. What's that you say? The mic that I bought for my daughter? Oh, it's an Audio-Technica AT2020. Very basic beginner's mic, but perfect for an 8-year-old.
Are there any ballers in the house?
The 2020 is a very good microphone. Thank you for asking, Neil. Yes, I chose it after very careful consideration.
Come on, when 24/7, there's got to be a few ballers that want to come out and play, eh?
I chose it based on if my daughter immediately gets bored of making videos of her playing games, then it might actually become useful to me. In other words, I wouldn't object to fiddling with it and trying it as a more closer proximity mic. At the moment, I use like I don't know what you call it. I think you call it a shotgun mic. It's a very long, thin mic that's very directional. So I can have it far away and pointing at my mouth because I don't like mics getting in my way. But for the sake of argument, if she does very quickly lose interest in Gamer-Nor, which is what she's called her little section of the YouTube channel, then, I'll end up inheriting that mic.
What is it called again?
Gamer-Nor.
Very clever.
Maybe. So yeah, check it out. You can check out her horrendous video if you want to go onto the kids' YouTube bit. I doubt anybody here would be interested in Eleanor playing Roblox, though. But,
you don't like it when Mike's
but I'll look on the stock market. I'll look on the stock market in about 10 years. It could be a multi-million-dollar company. It's a good name.
Yeah. I like the name.
Well, she pondered it for a long time. So that was something I told her to do. I was like, come up with some ideas, ask other people, and after you've come up with the ideas, if people can remember the name, then that's probably the one to go with. So after she came up with several suggestions, that was what she picked. And I'm like, I'm here. I've spent years faffing around trying to be successful on YouTube, and I could hopefully point her in the right direction until she loses interest, which she may very well do quickly. I don't know.
Name is everything.
Again? The name is everything.
Yeah, because I worked for a guy. Now, I do flooring. He named his company Florever. Florever. And you wouldn't believe the amount of freaking people that called him just because of his name, Florever Carpets.
Florever Carpets. Very good. So, yeah. Anyway, watch this space. If in 10 years from now, YouTuber sensation Eleanor Oakley is something you're well aware of, she owes it all to me. I take full credit. If she's a kid, she'll probably lose interest really quickly. But if she doesn't, at least she's, from this point forth, set up with something that I can use and might find a use for as a redundant mic. It solves a distortion problem that I've hated since I've had this Audient Evo 4. So I'm technically taking a backward step to a slightly older preamp that's got well reviewed and everybody trusts. And I'm like, yeah, I'll go with that then. So, it's good. I'm happy. Anyway, anybody...
Yeah, and someone's got to run Flat Earth Debate in 2050.
Exactly. I doubt it should be that interesting.
How could that be if he's not teaching his kids Flat Earth?
She's not that interested in the subject. It's not like she's coming in going, oh, by the way, I overheard you talking about elevation angles. Can you tell me what... No, she's not interested. I've introduced her to trig. That's about as close as she's got. But that was nothing to do with flight. It was maths. Just doing maths. But that's like how we then later in life, for our audience, like bring them back to their childhood when we're like, this is just basic maths, isn't it? We're just measuring Earth flat, right, with triangles. It's not complicated. Not that complicated. It is maths that you've got to learn, but we all learnt it. So, yeah.
Right, and that's what I mean about teaching them Flat Earth. Things like that. They will grab it I don't know where the ice walls and all that other nonsense came from yesterday. That's not flat Earth. That's anything but flat Earth. We can teach them things where they can think on their own, and they'll come to a realization.
If I'm ruthlessly honest, Eleanor's a bit of a fantasist, and she actually, like me, sees a lot of potential and beauty in the heliocentric fantasy. So Eleanor likes fantasizing about Eleanor world out in space. And I absolutely am, it is a delight listening to it. So this might piss people off. If this annoys you, right? Shame on you if this annoys you, right? When I hear my eldest daughter tell me about things like that, Planet Eleanor, right? It still warms my heart. Now, the fact that, like with Santa Claus or the Easter Bunny, she knows she's engaging in fantasy. But it doesn't matter. It's just a kid indulging fantasy. Beautiful to behold. So there might be people out there. The reason I'm saying this is because we talked about flat earthers educating their children in conspiracy. And if you were watching yesterday, in between the crudity of that particular show, not from us, but from the people we were reviewing, you got the general gist that we disapproved of your average conspiratard talking about conspiracies with their kids. In this case, a 10-year-old. Mine's an 8-year-old. Right? Well, the same principle applies when it comes to my joy about a kid exercising their fantasy. I'm not going to stop her and go, you do realise Earth's not a ball and you can't be in space. No. It's like she's fantasizing about Eleanor land. So good for her. Why would I want to stop her? Anyway. Anything else? We're going to round out this live show shortly.
When she comes home breaking down Einstein's equations and things like that, then you're going to have some issues.
No, but I'm sure I have actually, in line with your standard education, educated about Newtonian gravity, Neil. Don't hate me because I've taught my kids stuff that other kids will know about. And I just don't want it to be a shock when some random kid of a similar age talks about something that they've got taught in school and my daughter hasn't. So she's suddenly in a position to scratch her head and then get the information from another 8-year-old at a tennis
class. No, you have to. That's it. You have to teach them that. My wife homeschools too. It's in the curriculum. You got to teach them.
No, it's not. I don't teach it because it's in the curriculum. That I'll concern myself with when they get to GCSE age. But for now, it's got sod all to do with the. I decide that what she gets taught, and my motivation for teaching her isn't because it's going to be potentially tested. I know where my daughters, plural, are educationally. So I'm never going to be. I need to check because I've got 30 kids and I need to know where each and every one of them are. My wife and I don't need that, if you know what I mean. But what I do know in life is that she's going to be confronted with some of this information in a general way. And so that she can essentially just get on with her day and ignore it rather than go, that's unfamiliar to me. Well, I was taught that blah, blah, blah. And suddenly she's getting mocked and ridiculed. Because like we stood against yesterday, I don't necessarily agree that you should teach kids conspiratorial feast of nonsense flat earth. Triangles, trig, yeah, definitely.
I agree, yeah. You don't want them in the dark on things. I agree 100%. But the homeschooling must be different in the UK than it is here. Because we have to pick, we have a certain set that we can pick from. Like my wife could choose her own curriculum, but they do have it laid out for you. You are going to be teaching them the solar system and things like that. You are going to be teaching them history, certain things that you have to teach them.
No, not that. It's not that here. Here it's, are you teaching them? Are they being educated? And it doesn't actually matter what. So once a year, my wife does a report. Now, here, there's actually two standards. Both are acceptable. One is off the radar, where you have no association whatsoever with government. It means they don't help you. They won't give you any funding if you suddenly fell on hard times. They won't give you any medical help, like dentistry, things like that. No, you don't get that. If you don't want to engage with them, you don't engage with them at all. And then you're what some home-educated parents call being off the radar. Now, my wife and I realistically would have liked to have put our kids in a private school I mean, I went to a private school. I thought it was fantastic, learning about logic and empiricism with a very small number of kids. But we couldn't afford to do that. I do YouTubing flat Earth, so putting them in a private school definitely wasn't a possibility. But putting them in a limited number of paid classes and doing the rest ourselves as best as we see fit was a possibility if we took a humble life and accepted that we'd always be poor. But that's being on the radar. That is to say that the state are acutely aware of us and what we do with our kids, and they ask for one report a year to show that we are actually doing stuff with them. We don't just sit around all day doing nothing and letting them run amok, you know. And typically we get a fair degree of praise from our council, if you will. So they do report back on our report, if you will, and they're always delighted with the amount of stuff that we do with our kids. Mainly, probably because we put them in a lot of paid classes. But you know, that's here. I don't have to. My wife and I don't have to do anything so long as we can demonstrate that we are enriching our kids mentally in some capacity. But as long as you can demonstrate that, there's no you must adhere to the standard of curriculum that could put them on the GCSE path or anything like that. Not at all.
Yeah, I think it changed since Alabama. Alabama's different. New York, my wife was just telling me, in Alabama, you're on your own. You're homeschooling your kids, you don't got to answer to nobody. But in New York, we had to answer. Like every 4 months, you had to send in a quarterly, the grades and stuff like that. But not here.
Well, it sounds similar, but just a bit more strict. So ours is annually, and it's half a day's work. I'll be honest, I don't do it. My wife does do it, and I do obviously go through it with her and discuss it.
Neither do I.
Well, I go through it with her, and I'm like, often, because, you know, while I don't necessarily want to be off the radar, as I've just described, there are certain things that I'm like, do you need to tell them that? Do they need to know that? How is that their business? You know, things like that. Not often, but occasionally. Or I'll say, why don't you tell them about this? Why don't you tell them about that? We've added this extra class. Do you remember when we trialed that class that we didn't end up taking? Well, that's still a class she did, for example. Oh, yeah, I remember her trying that. She didn't really like it, but yeah, I can put that in the report. Things like that.
I mentioned something about the Revolutionary War that my kids didn't know. Looked at my wife and said, "They don't know this? What the heck are you doing?"
Yeah, but we'd object if people were to speculate about the history hoax as an example, right? Now, if I say history hoax, there's going to be certain people who are listening that go, I know exactly what he's talking about, and others that go, what? Doesn't matter. But if you were to sit down and teach that to your kids, I'd be objecting. I'd be like, why are you doing that? You're poisoning them. You're going to raise, what was the word we used earlier? Paranoid kid. You know, they'll become a paranoid adult. You're like, oh dear.
Yeah, anyway. I don't teach them about freaking, what do you call it, conspiracy.
Yeah, they'll be asking you about that anyway. They know they've got a conspiratard dad. You, not me.
That's funny because I didn't come to this subject through conspiracy.
I bet you did. I've heard that so many times.
No, my brother
recently
told me about it, and I found that that's when I looked into other things after I was told about this.
Oh, your brother told you. Then your brother's a conspiratard.
Oh, yeah, still to this day. He tells me about ice walls and this and Admiral Byrd and yeah.
Yeah, okay, you are the exception to the rule, typically speaking. Like, third time I've mentioned it. I won't mention this again, regular viewers. About 2 weeks ago now, I keep mentioning it, Brian and I had a conversation. We've had plenty of subsequent conversations since, but this specific conversation was about us and our association and guilt in terms of the Feast of Nonsense. And we're chuckling along because both Brian and I are going, yeah, we're both conspiratards, aren't we? You know, while we're moaning and belittling those around us for being conspiratards and making us all look like idiots, we followed the same path to flat Earth. Math Power, we talked, what pure beautiful coincidence, Math Power Landsock in the chat, right? But for the fact that the algorithm said, oh, watching stuff about psychopathy, are you? Maybe you'll be interested in flat Earth. Previously been interested in subliminal messages, have you? Maybe a bit of flat Earth Math Powerland will be tasting nice for you today. Right? I got put on the conspiratorial Feast of Nonsense path like everybody else because I'm a conspiratard at heart. You're not. You're the exception, Neil. But your brother is.
Oh no, well I am now because I don't get into ice world things like that, but I do get into. I looked into what happened in New York and the Pentagon.
Yeah, once you're no, that's not your fault. Once what you're saying is once you got here, you fell down the hill, your brother pushed you, but you suddenly saw like anti-flat earthers and flat earthers alike. The feast of nonsense, and went ooh, that looks good. Bit of Admiral Byrd. Cool. Bit of ice. Bit of dome. Oh, the Bible says dome. Yum, 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 yum. Next thing you know, you're talking about lizard people and 9/11.
Nathan, was Math Powerland, he was talking about NASA images once and manipulation of images, which is on par with subliminal messaging.
Yeah. I know why the algorithm suggested it on an autoplay. I mean, that's all been dispensed with now. The chances of someone getting my video just automatically playing for them are absolutely zero. But back in the day, yeah, YouTube recognised what algorithmically would appeal to me as a conspiratard and presented at Math Powerland. Makes sense, right?
Yeah, it's a logical...
Go ahead.
Go ahead.
No, you go
I was saying, think about that. Think about that. They freaking conspired and got together and decided that they were going to put a stop to this flat Earth, right? Essentially, that's what they did, didn't they?
Well, yeah, they did it algorithmically, like I say. So if you can prevent anybody from just automatically stumbling across the subject, and instead, where I had Math Powerland play to me on autoplay, your regular Joe today gets Simon Dan played to him on the autoplay. Interested in something conspiratorial? Oh, you've just typed in FLA into the search engine. Quick, put Simon on it.
If you type conspiracy in, you'll get conspiracy cats.
Yeah, exactly. You get the anti-establishment position rather than, the anti-establishment position. People who oppose us.
That's very interesting why they would be so afraid of that they would have to preempt it like that. Because you were growing. I remember I was getting notifications for everything.
Yeah.
Recently, I typed in flat Earth in the search engine and changed the search filters to this week, and one of QE's live streams appeared. So he's in the algorithm. Yeah.
Yeah, if you do it on today, then it will shove whoever you're searching for to the bottom of the list. That was typically how I used to search. But yes, you're correct. If you search by the week, you can actually find your way to some of the stuff by putting a filter on. No one puts filters on. People are lazy. Anyway, I'm going to round out. Is there any last words before I ask people to stay tuned? A massive thank you to 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. Hopefully a link will whiz on by in the live stream chat if you are watching live. But if you're watching on either Nathan Oakley 1980 or Nathan Oakley premiering streams, then stay tuned as there will be an after show to follow.
That's not the song, though.
What? Trust me, bro.
Gotta break my rusty cage.
Yeah, I know. For some reason, I was seeing Chris Cornell in there. Yeah, trust me, bro. And you know who's saying that, right? Did you hear?
No.
Candace Owens is using that terminology now. Trust me, bro. But she's saying it like sarcastically, like snide.
Yeah. Because that's what it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's snide. Trust me, bro. As in, no, I'm probably not going to be trusting you then. You wouldn't need to be telling me to if what you were saying was legit.
Me, bro, if I actually want somebody to trust me.
But we're not in a subject that requires trust. Yeah?
Correct.
If I say Earth's measured flat, there's no trust involved.
But if you talk about nonsense to get on big shows and go to these theatrical events to get on big shows so you can bring the good arguments, you'll follow it up with it. Trust me, bro.
Mic check.
You good?
Good.
Who's that?
Hey, Nathan. As we speak,
Elvis.
SpaceX launches double lunar landers. Double lunar lander missions. SpaceX rockets. Do they need a flat Earth for that?
Well, they need a flat Earth for that. For a trajectory, yeah. Yeah, they will. Like the moon landing.
Indeed.
They'll be calculating it from asymptotically flat plane for their orbital motion. So yeah, they will need a flat Earth for that. Meanwhile, traveling to Narnia, eh? How interesting.
Yeah, we were told the other day that things happen differently in outer space. No, the laws of nature don't apply up there. It could be different. We don't know. We've never been there.
Well, they're wrapped up both in aluminum foil. Is that Narnia proof?
I mean, anomaly hunting is what you're describing, right? I saw somebody on Banjo's channel, a young lady, talking about her highlighting the aluminium foil and clothes pegs that are holding the LEM together. Is it the LEM or the LM? I always get those two confused. Whatever the lunar lander module's called. And you're like, yeah, okay, you're right. It does look like it's put together by a team of model makers, but it's claimed to be in a sky vacuum, though, isn't it?
Yes, but that's what they're saying. You can't say because here on Earth that there is certain things like gas-filled space. It don't mean it happens like that in outer space. What's wrong with you?
Yeah, like I say, it's news to me because we're not paying any attention to it. So thanks for telling us, because I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, just like watching on Good Morning America. They always have to, throw that a little bit in the mainstream news.
Yeah, you've got to keep the light up. It's got to be repeated constantly, hasn't it?
Good to review science, and it was a good review today. I put
shit, Lee.
I was talking to this lady in chat, Stephanie.
Hold on a second.
Sorry.
It's okay. It's not your fault. Shit, Lee. Can you pop yourself on local mute?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I was talking to this lady in chat, Stephanie. She mentioned that, she said, I wonder if they still teach science like they used to, because it was like hammered into my education by like 5th grade, and like same-ish for me, right? But I brought up the point in my head, like, yeah, but it wasn't taught that, like, if you don't know this method inside and out, you're pretty much susceptible to lies your entire life from every angle. It was a good review.
Cool. We actually had a video earlier that was shared that we didn't even get to, right? And I was going to ask, is it globe cope, flat earth cope, sunspot redemption?
Is the name Amir that suggested it?
Yeah, it's Amir who suggested it, but I just didn't know. Is it Globus Glurf seeking cope on this video? Flurf seeking cope on this video?
I don't know. That's why I asked Martin Musher if he'd heard it or if Amir is in chat.
Yeah, I'm here. It's his name is Austin. He's a friend of Jaren's. He's been on the show, and he pretty much another Jaren doing the switch. and you are mentioned in the video, but the real in that video, it really starts at 12 minutes mark, because he repeats himself a lot in that video. But it's another flurf jumping ship, or jumping the shark, we'll say.
Is it Nick?
Is it Nick?
Oh, it's gotta be Nick. The big.
It's not an observation like flat earthers might claim. This has an independent variable.
That's Dave McKeegan.
The changing observer's location is an independent variable.
Yeah.
Oh, wow, timing is everything. Did you say God's leading the show, Neil?
That's pretty funny.
That's Dave. That's Dave.
Keep going. He's gonna keep going. He's gonna see you need more than one independent
then how
variable.
does that change affect the relative position of the sunspots? Obviously, now moving forward, the big question for anybody has to be, how are those sunspot comparisons explained on whatever version of Earth you subscribe to?
Real-life observations will always trump ideas. The evidence doesn't lie. The Earth's tilt explains everything I've seen.
Earth's tilt? What? The description of an axis perpendicular to a flat plane? Described with frames of reference that are flat. No, to describe these, you'll need a flat plane. That's how they've been created.
The sun's shifting path throughout the year, the solstices and the equinoxes.
What about them?
And the 24-hour sun in Antarctica.
What about
them? I will continue to pursue my...
Sorry, what about them? And the chickens and the geese and the hens. Yeah, the chickens and the geese and the hens. Yeah, what about them?
You weren't listening. You said it right in the beginning. They prove flat, round Earth.
He hasn't said how or why. What about him?
My own observations and seek out answers. I'm sure I will face more ridicule, dismissal, and outright attacks from some in this community.
Just asking you, what about them? Said solstices, 24-hour sun. Yeah, we got it. What about them?
From the very same people who preach, question everything.
Nah, man, I tell my audience. Yeah? Slap it down on the desk. Pitch data, for example. Bosh! Pitch data, Earth's measured flat.
Yet.
I don't say question that, by the way, just to make that clear. There's no questioning that.
Do we ever say do your own research? I don't think we've ever said that ever.
No. We say once you find out Earth's flat from us telling it you as an absolute statement of fact that you cannot challenge, and if you try to, you'll end up debunking your own globe paradigm by relinquishing the flat Earth measurements that will be required to make that globe paradigm. We tell you that in no uncertain terms. What's that? Question everything. No, don't question this. It's a fact. You can utilize it. You might not die at sea if you get lost. Pick up your sextant, grab yourself an almanac, and you might be able to figure out where the fuck you are and not die. Don't question that if you don't want to die, because you can utilize it to not die. Now, you could sit around questioning it, but then you'll just die, because you won't be finding your way home if you're questioning it, as opposed to using it, and flat Earth will be required to measure when you use it. As one example. I'm only using that example because you're talking about lights in the sky that made a globe model, but you haven't really alluded to anything useful or practical in terms of that. I mean, I've just saved people's lives if they understand how Earth can be measured flat with these lights in the sky. You're not giving people practical stuff. You're saying the people who will oppose you and ridicule you say question everything. Now, that's what Jaren says, isn't it? Just that dickhead. We say Earth's measured flat. You don't have to like it. You know, I'm not saying question it, right? That's not how we roll here.
They refuse to question their own beliefs.
Right, this isn't a belief, though, is it? When I say Earth's measured flat and I detail an elevation angle, how's that my belief? I'm not aimed to ridicule you. You just seem like an ignorant clown. That is to say, you don't know what these lights are used for in practical terms and how Earth will be flat when you use them. You just said, oh, well, we've got a 24-hour sun. Oh, the solstices. What about them? Me, I'm telling you how Earth's measured flat and how you could save your life with it.
When evidence is presented.
Go on, Neil.
I was going to say the rule of thumb is measure twice, cut once. There is no questioning that.
I can no longer deny what my own eyes, data, and logic are showing me.
Which is what? 24-hour sun. Yeah, okay. What of them? Solstices. What of them?
Did he say
This
data?
isn't about.
Yeah, he hasn't told us what data.
Again, with Jaron, with the data point where I stand fits a globe. Okay, great.
Where did the globe come from? What measurements were utilised to create the globe? Oh, we'd measure a flat Earth, elevation angles to Polaris, equatorial minimums, the solstices, and then we put that into a system after the measurements of an Earth that's flat to create mathematically a ball that he says works. No, it violates the principal measurements that are taken of Earth to create that ball. To infer that you're on it is a reification fallacy.
About picking a side or attacking flat earthers. It's about honesty.
Now, this sounds familiar. No, it's not. Right, when I make a statement of fact about Earth being measured flat, that's a statement of fact, and my integrity or credibility has nothing to do with it. Yeah? Will Duffy could tell you that Earth's flat. I mean, the biggest shyster fraud out there could say it. It'd still be true. Even though Will Duffy's demonstrably a fraud and a lying shitbag, if Will Duffy said Earth's measured flat, I'd go, yeah, he's right. But you could turn around and go, well, he's a fraud. It's all about honesty, no, it ain't. It's about whether he's right or not. Yeah, he's right in this instance. If Duffy's saying Earth's measured flat, yeah, he's still a fraud. But that's just him. Earth, on the other hand, is measured flat.
Integrity, right?
Nah, I've just debunked that. This is all garbage.
If we're
Could it be
committed to
that
the
they
truth,
honestly? Sorry,
No,
I was just going to
go
say, could it be that they honestly don't understand what an affirmative consequent fallacy is?
I don't know. I'd have to ask.
He doesn't know. I'm still hung up on how location is an independent variable. Like, what if I change my location to the house? Does that mean the sun disappears?
I moved 3 inches. I changed location.
You got that from Planner Walk.
So if location, then sun does X. It's so stupid.
They're all saying it.
Yep. And they're wrong. It's just straight up not true. That's not an independent variable.
Between the lines. Why are they saying it? Because suddenly they feel that they need to present a hypothesis after the fact. I wonder why. Maybe it's because they're being told, yeah, we live on a really big ball because Home Depot Earth. Or is it because we're pointing out that it's fraud? That Duffy's a fraud and that there is no experiment happening here. They're not varying and manipulating the cause of the effect that they observed, but apparently location causes 24-hour sun. If location, then 24-hour sun. That's their hypothesis after they went down there. Okie dokie. So, vary location, get a 24-hour sun. Move 3 inches, not getting a 24-hour sun. So that would be location then. If you want to take it as read and utilize their assertion of an independent variable, location isn't globe Earth, is it? It's just the location. So then you look at what is the location and where is the location? How is the location measured? Well, flat. All three of the above. Isn't it?
Well, yeah. Did you hit play before? Because I didn't hear anything.
we have to be willing to let go of models that don't work. For me, the evidence...
Like what model? Show us the model that doesn't work. There aren't any. There's no globe or flat Earth models. There's some azimuthal equidistant globe projection that's been held up in false dichotomy with a globe that we've never been shown. The maths for came from a flat Earth in the first instance.
Has led me to one inescapable conclusion. The Earth might very well be a globe. And now, my focus...
Might very well be. might very well be a globe. That doesn't sound very convincing. Earth is without a doubt, for sure, flat. Why? Because it's measured that way. All the maps and models, including but not limited to this numpty dipshit's idea that might be the case of a globe, that he's calling a model incorrectly, that incorrectly ascribed as model came from flat Earth measurements. Ergo, Earth is flat. That's not an if. It's not a could be. It's definitely not a maybe. Most certainly is not a belief. It is a fact based on how Earth's measured. This guy, on the other hand, just ignorant. Doesn't know. Could be a ball. Well, presumably it could be flat. Prior to you, it could be a ball. No, you were a flat Earth believer before now, and you're a maybe it could be a big ball, like Dave Weiss, maybe. I know it's flat.
Is on continuing to observe, learn, and share the wonders of this world as they truly are.
Really? Yeah, you do that, you freaking hippie. I'll be here telling people Earth's measured flat. Well, you tell people how wonderful the world is when it might be a ball. Maybe it's a ball, but look how beautiful it is. Sound familiar? Sounds a bit like the tossers who went to Antarctica. Look how beautiful it is. We know there's a creator. Look out the window. Earth's measured flat. What you got? Give me a globe measurement if you think it could be maybe a ball. Give me one ball measurement. And I'll show you how Earth was measured flat to get it. And how your claim to be measurement of a ball is actually a calculation based on a flat Earth measurement. That's what I'll do. I'll be here telling you that. Not asking you to do your own research or question what I say. I'll be telling you. What does this shit prove? Why has he got these sunspots on a sun? Who gives a crap? Why is he showing us this?
That's his proof.
What about it? Okay, sunspots. What about them? For 6 months, I've tracked the sun daily, movements from central Florida, focusing on its sunspots and rotation. My observations reveal a distinct seasonal wobble, reflecting the changing alignment between Earth, and the sun throughout the year. What alignment of Earth and sun? You're observing the sun and some sunspots. What's that got to do with the ground that you're standing on? Do you want to make some connection to it? That's just a baseless assertion as it stands.
The sun has shown me the truth. And while it hasn't been easy to let go of old ideas...
What truth? You haven't made any claims yet.
I've been literally battling my mental bias this whole year. But
what you mean, your mental bias being you wanted it to be flat, but you didn't know? How telling.
Yeah, he was a believer.
Yeah, you were a flat Earth believer. We're rejoicing that you're buggering off, by the way. Is it Jaren? This is a different Jaren, right? Good riddance. Don't let the door hit you on the way back out because you were a flat Earth believer. You weren't really helping. You were a hippie with open-toed sandals and bad breath, babbling on how beautiful things were, while people like us were telling people, not asking them, that Earth was flat and giving them measurements to prove it.
But I do know this. Seeking truth is always worth it.
Really? How did you seek it when you just spent the last 5 seconds explaining that you just chased your confirmation bias? You didn't find any truth. You flip-flopped back to your original position, having found nothing whatsoever out about how Earth was actually measured. It's flat. But it could be a ball based on what you've looked at the sun and assumed that it has something to do with the ground that you're standing on in that regard, without making any formal connection to the two whatsoever. Okay.
I'm absolutely grateful for this journey.
What journey? To where? You didn't achieve anything. You didn't arrive anywhere. You still had a belief at the end of the journey, and you're now relinquishing that belief for a different belief. Could be a ball, or like a belief that you'll now hold.
If it wasn't for Flat Earth, I wouldn't have all this knowledge.
What knowledge? You haven't got any. You've given us nothing. Solstices. Yeah, we were well aware. 24-hour sun, it transpires that people were well aware of it. It's just not in our community. We weren't aware that it was well observed and well documented before now. Now, that would have rung a bit of a crazy bell with me, having had first-hand testimony that it didn't occur. So it seems like it maybe periodically occurs. Maybe there's more investigation into this phenomena and its cause. Maybe we'll apply the scientific method. Who knows? It's an observation of the sun and what it does as a phenomena we could be studying, but haven't yet. Seems there is that phenomena, if we take what we've been presented from something that was fraudulently claiming to be an experiment, as read. You seem to have. You repeated it, 24-hour sun. Yeah? What about it? Oh, well, if I use a ball... Whoa. The ball is created mathematically from flat Earth elevation angle measurements to the lights in the sky. That's how it's created. So, no, we're not going to be reifying something that violates the base measurements to suggest that we might be living on that reification fallacy. We're definitely not. I'm telling you that, by the way. I'm not asking you to do your own research either. I'm just telling you.
Have today about the Earth. Whether it's right or wrong, this journey has led me to a better understanding of...
No, you published shite on YouTube that led loads of people nowhere by the sounds of things. Yeah, everybody who watched this video got nothing from it, and presumably every video previous to it. Because what did you have to offer? You just explained that you just wasted everyone's time while you chased an affirmation of a bias that you held through a belief that you held about flat Earth. And now you're rejoicing about all the knowledge it didn't give you, and how wonderful it was as a journey. To where? Stuck in open-toed sandaled metaphors. That's what you're doing.
The reality around me. So I will keep observing, learning, and sharing.
No, don't. No, piss off and don't come back. You're a waste of space for everybody who's in this community called Flat Earth. That's the people who know Earth's measured flat, not idiots that were looking to bias themselves with their belief in Flat Earth. You can get lost. Good.
Thanks for watching, guys. I hope you stick around.
I've never watched you before. I'm glad I'll hopefully never have to watch this crap again, because it was a waste of time.
Keep questioning.
What? No, you don't need to question Earth's measured flat. Get on with your day. Show some love to your family. That's what you can do. Once you know that, you can get on with your day. You don't need me anymore. You don't have to give me money. You don't have to give me anything. You don't need to remain in this quote-unquote community. Claw hands and all. You just know Earth's measured flat. You know it's flat. Not, oh, well, I better carry on doing my own research. Into what? Oh, you're intrigued to know how the ball came to fruition. That's a different story, isn't it? I mean, we can tell you all about that. If you do want to hang around, we'll tell you all about the Roman Catholic Church and Copernicus. Fine, no worries. You can learn how Earth was measured flat and then they created the ball with those measurements. You can learn that if you like. Stick around for that. No charge, it's free.
Keep observing and challenge your beliefs.
Keep measuring and know Earth's flat.
Out.
This is a conspiracy. That's what this is. One big damn conspiracy.
Is it? What is? Context much? What's a conspiracy? Earth being measured flat? No, that's just how it's measured. I don't know why you're using this clip. You mean you were engaged in the Feast of Nonsense conspiracy that got falsely labelled as flat Earth when you all talked about ether and stupid garbage, upward rising Earth, other nonsense? Yeah? That was a conspiracy, was it? Maybe. We just call it the Feast of Nonsense. It's just nonsense waffle that idiots like you spew, wasting everybody's time while we go around telling people Earth's flat, because it is. Backing it up with measurements that created the stupid ball you now kind of think you might be on. How idiotic.
And everyone's in on it. Including her.
That rock was airborne for about 4 seconds. Anyway. Cool. Yeah, now we've covered it. Who was that guy? We didn't send him any love in the live stream. We did it in the after show. Mellow something or other. Mellow Dome.
Dome.
Coolio. Right, I'm going to round out. Thank you for having us 24/7 Flat Earth Discord. Shout out to all the unsung heroes that are moderators in this chat. Thank you very much for having us. Okie dokie then. Well, I'll see you when I see you. We'll pop by and hopefully take some unsuspecting Globers by surprise next
Nathan,
time.
you put them to sleep.
I wasn't. Was I talking about my SSL 2 Plus? My new audio interface.
Yeah. Anytime, Nathan. Thanks for coming by.
Yeah. See you when we see you, I guess. But yeah, with that, I'm going to say another huge, massive, enormous thank you to both my G Plus and the 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server for making today's after show possible. If I get myself into a nice position, I will go on camera. Why not? And of course, a massive thank you to all of you for liking, commenting, sharing, subscribing, joining as a Nathan Oakley 1980 channel member. Hit me up on PayPal and all that good stuff. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I will see you all in the next video.